Hey everyone, and welcome to Screams After Midnight. I am Peter, and joining me, as always, is Tim.
Yep.
Very reserved hello today from Tim. This is our second of 4 Octoberthon specials for 2019, meaning that this is the episode where we'll talk about this week's movie news, horror movie news that is, and we'll talk about what we've been watching this week. Although it's going to be a bit one-sided, this particular episode. We'll explain that later. Look, some of us have had a lot to watch for review this week and not had much time to watch other movies, okay? That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
So we'll all listen to Tim talk about what movies he's been watching this week in the back half of this video. But yeah, we're a horror movie podcast. We normally talk about horror movies, and usually the news will be attached to the weekly movie discussion. But because we're doing episodes every single day in October, all of which have their own movies, we've got the news on its own with a special little extra. Here's what else we've been watching for the October season. So that is what this is going to be. So without further ado, we'll dive into this week's news, which admittedly is actually quite light. I found myself getting to the the 7 days ago on Bloody Disgusting a lot quicker than than I normally do. But yeah, so as has been tradition for like maybe 3 months now, we're going to open with what's coming back for Halloween.
Oh wow! Well, this is a surprise to me because sometimes I see this pop up, but I don't think I saw anything this time. So hit me with it. What do we got?
Well, this is one that technically I think was rumored because Tom Atkins, amusingly, the name on your shirt, Tom Atkins let it slip in an interview apparently. But Charles Cyphers, who played the sheriff in Halloween, is back for Halloween Kills, and he's still the sheriff. There's a photo of him on Instagram with the uniform on. I think we never considered him when we were talking about who could come back. Probably because we assumed he was dead. I think that was the honest assumption because he's so old. But the old man's still kicking. He's there, and he's wearing the uniform. He's back for Halloween Kills.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that sounds like a boomer. God forbid they should, ever retire and, give a young person a job. That sounds about right. You did get me excited for a split second because I thought you were going to say Tom Atkins is back, which if that was the case, I would have been like, get this movie to me right now. Man, that would be cool. And I mean, why not? I mean, technically, movies 2 through whatever don't exist, and number 3 has always been this kind of weird out of continuity thing. So why not, bring Tom Atkins into the fold?
Well, I mean, apparently this interview from July, which he let this slip, he was saying how much he would love to cameo in one of the new Halloween films, but no official happenings as of yet. But good to know.
Cool.
So we got the hospital back from 2. We got the kids back as characters, one of whom's the original actor. We got the nurse back from the first one, and we've got the sheriff back from the first one.
Again, I just think it's so funny that there's just such a stigma on this is just a sequel to the first movie. None of the other movies matter. We're like, going back in the timeline, blah, blah, blah. But everything is like, we're bringing this back. We're bringing you're trying to act like you're, you don't want to be beholden to anything, while at the same time you're like so afraid to, stray so far, from that first movie. I don't know.
They don't want to be beholden to any of the sequels, but they want the nostalgia bump from using things from the sequels.
Yeah.
That seems to be what's happening. Although, admittedly, it's only just a hospital really that's from 2. But
sure.
It wouldn't shock me if Daniel Harris or someone else from some of the sequels ends up popping in here, or if not in this one, maybe in the third one, because they'll have used all of the Halloween people they can in Halloween Kills.
I mean, I'm just waiting to. I mean, if they're doing this much, eventually we're going to have to get to a point where they're going to announce a CGI Donald Pleasance. I feel like that's what we're leading up to. They're going to, Star Wars it and have some type of, cameo from him. It's going to have to. They're running out of people to bring back.
I think we're at the point now where we're even joking in a kind of semi-serious way about them CGing dead actors into a franchise. Maybe it's time for the franchise to just be done. Maybe we're holding on to the past a little bit too much at that point.
Hey, it would actually be a pretty good horror movie. Would be the ghost of a famous dead actor can't rest because they keep using his image, so he has to haunt the studio or whatever. Hey, there you go. It's a free idea for, well, honestly, what would probably be the best movie ever made, because I thought of it. So if anyone wants to make it, feel free.
Tim,
But
Tim,
also,
Tim, Joe,
I
Joe,
own the
Joe,
rights, so
Joe, what surprises me about you, Tim, sometimes, what I forget
what's
about
up?
you is just how humble you are. Sometimes I forget just how genuine and even spirited you are. Just
When you're this great, you gotta be humble.
no one's more humble than me.
Yeah.
So moving on, it was a bit of an interesting news one. So the writers of the horror comedy The Final Girls, which we were both
Mm,
quite into,
mm,
we reviewed that a while ago. You can go check our discussion out on that. Emma Fortin and Joshua John Miller were the writers of that, and they are going to be writing and co-directing a brand new horror film. It's untitled right now for Miramax. This is coming from the
Ooh,
Hollywood Reporter. It's been produced
mm,
by Kevin Williamson, who obviously wrote Scream and
yep,
other stuff
mm,
from that kind of era. Dawson's Creek, of course, which is not relevant here, but
mm,
um,
yeah.
but interesting here. So it's a horror movie with the writers of The Final Girls, and it's going to star Russell Crowe.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, he's going to play a troubled actor who begins to unravel while shooting a horror film. Uh,
Oh, okay.
yeah, his estranged daughters wonders if he's slipping back into his past addictions or if there's something more sinister at play.
Mm,
Okay, Joe, it's one of those things that I think with horror movies I don't typically like when they get a big star, but if they're
mm,
going kind of meta here and having it be an actor on a movie set, like maybe it does work better if you've got someone who is actually a
sure.
star, someone who's an
Yeah.
actor that we all know.
Yeah, and isn't like doesn't Crow have kind of a reputation for being like like a little irritable like on set or something sometimes like
Bit of a temper, you say? What?
yeah, yeah. So that could be cool. It sounds interesting.
Yeah, it doesn't sound too bad.
Mm,
And one of the things we liked a lot about Final Girls, of course, was the meta way it used the
mm,
idea of
mm.
someone's parent being in a slasher movie and how they kind of
Oh
are
yeah,
still
yeah.
alive in some way. So if they're doing something else that's meta, even if it's going less from the comedy and more into just a straight up horror, maybe there'll be something there. And that movie had a lot of heart as well, which was surprising. I think that was the thing that surprised us
Mhm.
the most about the Final Girls was just how much heart it had.
Yeah,
So, I am tentatively somewhat interested.
yeah. And so wait, so those are just the writers, but did they say who's directing it?
No,
Sorry, I forgot.
they are writing and co-directing.
And co-director. Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Oh, cool, cool,
and
cool.
they didn't direct the Final Girls. That was directed by someone else whose name I'm blanking on right now.
Yes. Yeah.
But so they're directing. Yes.
Cool.
Yeah. So we'll
Yeah.
see.
Definitely interested in this. Obviously, probably get a little bit of a better idea, once the trailer comes out. But at least for now, this sounds intriguing.
Yeah. Next up, IFC Midnight have acquired the North American
Mhm.
rights to The Other Lamb, an English language
Ooh.
debut of Malgorzata Zumowska,
Mhm. Okay.
clearly a foreign director.
Never heard of him,
Uh,
but
Yeah, so this person directed Body and Mug, movies that I'm not familiar with, but this
hmm.
is their English language debut. It's written by the award-winning Australian screenwriter Catherine S. McMullen. The Other
Ooh.
Lamb is a haunting and nightmarish tale that tells the story of Sela, played by Rafi Cassidy, a young girl born into an alternative region known as alternative religion, known as the Flock. The members of the
Ooh.
flock, all women and female children, live in a rural compound and are led by one man known only as Shepherd, played by
Mm,
Michael. I think that is. It's a different spelling of Michael, but I think it's Michael
mhm.
Hussman. Sela, a daughter who is on the cusp of teenagehood, is given the great honor of participating in the sacred ritual of the birthing of the lambs, upon which they
Ooh.
depend for survival, where she has a shocking and otherworldly experience. She begins to have strange visions that make her question her own reality and everything the shepherd has taught her and her sisters. So this is coming out in 2020. That
Mhm.
sounds like, I mean, I have no idea the quality of the director here, but it sounds
Mhm.
like it's going for a very kind of similar vibe to The Witch to me.
Sure. Hmm.
I'm getting that, coming of age, slow burn,
Hmm.
psychological. Seems to have those kind of, you know, bones. Has those
Yeah.
bones.
Yeah. Yeah. It's I am starting to kind of feel like the cult thing is a little played out.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know. It feels like we've been getting a lot of stuff lately, but I mean, this does sound intriguing though, and I do like farm animals, so that's always a plus. I feel like people have been a little bit of afraid to touch lambs since they were done so famously in Silence of the Lambs, and now looks like maybe they're back on the table. So
Uh,
this could be really cool.
on the table waiting to be chopped up.
Yeah,
Have you seen the Silence of the Lambs, Tim? You seem a
of
little
course.
confused. You seem a little confused as to the lamb content of that movie.
I mean, yeah, it's not like you actually see the lambs, but they mention them in a pivotal scene.
They were mentioned in a pivotal scene.
Yeah.
Not been used in cinema since. Ah, dear, oh dear. If I thought you'd just be disappointed it's not a goat.
Well, you gotta save something for the sequel, I'm sure. But no, I mean, yeah. In all seriousness, seriousness, this does sound pretty cool. At least the description here. So I'll be looking forward to it. Like, I mean, similar to you, yeah. I don't know who this director or writer is, so maybe maybe I shouldn't get too excited. But at least now this has piqued my interest.
Okay, okay. Tim's interest is peaked. Everyone can
Yeah.
calm down. Everyone can brace themselves for more. So next up, the team of Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead are coming back with a film called Synchronic, which has been picked up by Well Go USA. They did Spring, which we did
Oh, hey.
review on the channel.
Yeah.
They also did
That's
The
a good one.
Endless, which people have been recommending me. People have been hounding me for an Endless review for a while. Um, it's one of those ones though. I think it's more of an Ace movie than a Screams movie. I think it veers more towards sci-fi. But they're back. They also did one of the segments in VHS Viral. Maybe assuming I've not seen it, but maybe that's one of those ones where there's one good segment. Maybe they had the one good segment. I don't know. But they're back with Synchronic, which Well Go USA has purchased out of the Toronto International Film Festival. It is a sci-fi. They call it a sci-fi thriller, but this is on Bloody Disgusting, so I'm going to assume that it's at least horror adjacent.
Sure.
Anyway, so Anthony Mackie's in this, so
Oh, yeah.
they have a star. Like, I mean, I like Spring a lot, but obviously these films they've been making are all very low budget kind of indie movies, and this is, well, still relatively indie, does have a star in it. Anthony Mackie, someone you know from things. Jamie Dornan's also in it. They star as two New Orleans paramedics whose lives are ripped apart after encountering a series of horrific deaths linked to a designer drug with bizarre otherworldly effects.
Yeah. Could be cool. I mean, I like the team enough that I'll give them the benefit of a doubt. I like Spring a lot. Um, I think I started watching The Endless. I forget if I actually finished it, but it's not necessarily an indictment on the film. I think maybe I might watch it when I was sleepy one time and then forgot to go back and watch it. But
Tim's an old man, you see. He falls asleep during things.
of course. And yeah, I didn't realize I did a segment of VHS Viral, but I mean, I it's been a while since I've seen it, but that movie is very bad. Sorry, so I will assume that their segment at best is maybe okay compared to the rest of the film, but I think that whole movie was really bad. But I'll still give them the benefit of a doubt though, and I will see this when it's released.
Tim gives that a solid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's Synchronic. I like the premise well enough. I mean, again, it sounds like a horror movie. I can see this being a horror movie with the plot I've described, but all the descriptions kind of make it sound more sci-fi. Like, they seem to think it's more of a sci-fi movie. So
Yeah, I mean the line between horror and sci-fi is like so thin most of the time that I'm sure it could probably it'll probably skirt the line between.
yeah, it's thinner than the plot twist in The Boy. Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Bram sucks.
No.
Yeah. All right, we got a couple of trailers to wrap up the news with. The first one is a Netflix movie, which is a a bastion of quality when it comes
Oh,
to
sure.
the original films. Rattlesnake. starring
Mm.
Carmen Ejogo, is in here. It's about a little girl and her mum. Or the little girl gets bit by a rattlesnake out sort of in the middle of nowhere. They're on the highway or whatever. Not the highway, but you know what I mean. The road.
Road.
Yes, the road. So, yeah, the description here: when a single mother accepts the help of a mysterious woman after her daughter is bitten by a rattlesnake, she finds herself making an unthinkable deal to repay her debt. And from the trailer, what we get is that her daughter is somewhat saved by this creepy woman who's out in this like sort of trailer out in the middle of nowhere. But seemingly, for the deal to stick, she has to offer them a soul and within 7 hours. So the movie seems to be about her, even though she's not a killer herself, trying to kind of build up the courage and pick a victim to kill someone. Which, honestly, that premise I think sounds fantastic. I think the trailer makes it look really mediocre.
Oh, sure. Yeah. Yeah, there's nothing about this that really stood out. It's, very generic. Um, yeah, I don't know. I wasn't into it. The premise is fine, but yeah, it could really go probably. Actually, I was gonna say it could go either way, but actually, I mean, more than likely, it's probably gonna be bad. Sorry, but I mean, who knows? Maybe it'll surprise us. Um, I don't know. It just feels like so easy though. It's like it seems like so much of it is going to be her having like such a hard time, but it's like I don't know. You telling me like you don't have like 50 people already picked out with where like if you had to do this, it'd be like 2 seconds, like yeah, that guy, yeah.
But that's your complaint, is that you don't buy that she would have a list of people she'd want to kill at the
Right,
ready.
yeah, why not? And then I mean, I don't know if like what the rules are, if it has to be like someone she intimately knows or like comes in contact with, but like I mean if you can literally choose anyone in the world, like there's a lot of shitty people that the world would be better off without, so
Hot takes coming from the Tim Meister today. What if I told you it was written and directed by Zach Hilditch, who did 1922?
well, I like that movie a lot actually, so it makes me a little more hopeful.
I
Of
don't know.
course, that was adapted from a Stephen King story, so I mean, the guy's already, working with an advantage.
I don't know if I agree with that, Tim. Most Stephen King adaptations suck, so I don't know where you're getting this advantage from.
Well, the stories are already good, though. The adaptations maybe aren't always good, but if you're already working off a good story, that's how you already, yeah, have a little bit to go on there.
Uh
What?
huh. I'm just saying, there's a really high likelihood when it comes to Stephen King adaptations that they're going to suck. That's what I'm
Mm,
saying.
I don't know about that.
I'm saying it's a high likelihood. Um, yeah, the trailer is something really generic, because I like the actual concept of her having to try and do this against her will, kill someone. It makes me think of like Shut Up and Dance, one of the best episodes of Black Mirror, and I'm like, yeah, like that could be really tense. That could be like her trying to work up the courage to do this. Like I could see a good movie out of that, but the movie has a lot of jump scares and creepy people like sort of like
Mhm,
saying things like, you better go kill someone now. I'm creepy. I'm a creepy person on the
mhm.
street who's telling you to
Yeah.
kill someone. That stuff wasn't working for me.
No,
So
not at all.
that's what it is. So that's Rattlesnake, and then the final trailer of two that we'll talk about this week. And for the record, for anyone who actually is like, hey, I watched like 5 trailers this week and you've not talked about them all, I do filter out some ones that look less interesting in terms of talking about them. If I took every single direct-to-video trailer that appeared on the internet, we'd be sitting here for an hour just talking about trailers,
Sure.
and it would be miserable. So the next one we're going to talk about, though, is for a film from Universal called The Turning, and it's out in January, and you know what that means. Horror movies in
Ooh.
January are always good. They're always of a high caliber
So
of
much positivity this episode.
quality. Well, I hope you watch some good movies, Tim. Otherwise, it's just going to be miserable all the way through. So, The Turning is a film about this young woman played by Mackenzie Davis in this case. Who's a good actress. She's popped up in she was in Black Mirror. She was in San Junipero. She's in the upcoming Terminator: Dark Fate. She was in Blade Runner 2049.
Okay.
But she's in this, and she takes a job as a nanny at a big posh rich house. Is this sounding familiar? Does this sound like any other movie so far?
Hey, again, you steal from the greats, as they say.
But instead of there being a ship at puppet like that horrible film The Boy, you heard me, You heard me, Tim.
I'm
Uh,
blocking out.
she does in fact find a boy and a girl. The boy's Finn Wolfhard from Stranger Things, so she's obviously you're going to recognize him. And
Mhm.
they are these weird pair of kids, and it's just kind of like, okay, they have no friends. They always stay at the house. There's parts of the house she's
Mhm.
not allowed to go in. There's a sort of a mystery around how their parents died, and like what happened to the previous nannies. And the kids just kind of laugh off, go, "Oh, we're not telling." And it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, she's dead. So what did you think of the trailer?
Uh, I mean, again, it's playing off a lot of the generic stuff we kind of always complain about. In fact, there's like a scene in here that was like I feel like the same exact scene we saw like a week or two ago. We watched like another trailer where she's looking in a dark room and she has a flashlight and the lights going around and the music's quiet, and then at some point the light is going to land on something, and then the music's going to turn way up and it's going to be a ghoster thing. um so yeah, I wasn't really feeling it too much. The like Finn Wolfhard, he's usually like a likable enough actor, but like I don't know, it seems like he's just doing kind of the annoying kid thing in this. What I actually did like the sister, I thought seemed more interesting because she, wasn't just doing the typical stock creepy kid. I like that she was actually like, kind of like happy and bubbly and stuff. And I was like, okay, it's like a little more interesting character to kind of follow.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. I wouldn't say I'm like, there wasn't really much here to get super excited about, but who knows? Maybe it'll surprise you. Oh, and of course, there's like, yeah, CGI and stuff, and
Yeah,
yeah,
the most sort of like fantastical parts is there's like shots of like CGI spiders coming out of mouths and things like
yeah,
that, and I mean this looks like. And the sad part is this is a big theater release, which
yeah.
means we're definitely going to be covering it, which is not filling
Yeah.
me with joy. Admittedly, though, maybe we'll get lucky and this is one that's not out at the same time for us, so we don't have to see it till the home video.
I feel like at best, maybe it ends up being like okay. Like it doesn't seem
At
like there's
best.
anything like yeah, like there's nothing about it that looks like it's gonna be. Oh wow, this was a surprise. This is like a really great, amazing movie. It's like maybe the best you can hope for is, you know what? It wasn't as bad as I thought. It was watchable.
Yeah, it's directed by Floria Sigismondi,
Of course.
uh, with a script by Jade Bartlett, um, which had a most recent draft by Chad and Carrie Hayes, who worked on House of Wax and The Conjuring 2. That's a really convoluted list of writers.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
but interestingly, Steven Spielberg's executive producing,
Mm.
so that's the
Well,
thing.
well, then he's never made a bad movie, so.
Yes. The tagline is "Watch the children with care."
Mm.
Uh, yeah, I'm not feeling this one, guys. I'm not feeling this. Um, um, but yes. So yeah, and it is based on Turning of the Shrew. Oh, sorry, it's Turn of the Screw. Sorry, uh, and it's set in the 1990s. So, did you get that from the movie? Did you ever notice that it was set in the 90s?
No,
Yeah, I didn't
there's
get that
nothing
either.
about it. Does that mean we're gonna get like some Smash Mouth somewhere in the soundtrack or something?
Somebody once told me the world was gonna roll me. Okay.
Or maybe that's what he's like playing. There's a scene of him like playing the drums. Maybe that's what he's doing.
Uh, dear. Anyways, wait, isn't the Turn of the Screw? Isn't that the same thing that the next season of The Haunting of Hill House of Bly Manor? Isn't Turn of
Um,
the
I,
Screw what that's based on that second season?
I do not know. I'm not really familiar with the story, so.
Hold on.
Uh,
Yes, the Turn of the Screw is the novel that the second season, the Haunting of Bly Manor, is based on. Yes, yes,
okay.
yeah. So yes, that's this movie that's coming out in January. It is based on the same book as the second season of Haunting of Hill House, and I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that second season is probably going to be much better than this movie. I would make a guess.
Mm,
I make a guess.
we shall see.
Yes, and it was originally made as The Innocents in 1961, which is a good movie.
Mm,
You can get it on Criterion Blu-ray if you want to discover that.
okay.
But I actually didn't realize when I was watching this trailer that it was the same thing as The Innocents. I it never clicked in my head. It just looked generic enough that I didn't even piece it together. Oh well.
There you go.
There you go. Which does take us on to the part of this episode where we'll talk about what movies we've watched in the past week for October that have not been for review purposes. And as I said at the start, I have had a very busy week. I did like 3 movies for streams. I did a movie for the Ace. I did a movie for we did the Breaking Bad movie for review as well.
Oh, yeah.
It's been a very busy week for me review wise. So Tim's going to tell us what he's been watching, and I shall comment and make snarky comments depending on how I feel.
I do just want to say that it does make me angry when studios are putting out like movies that are not horror movies in October. Like, the Breaking Bad movie, Parasite just came out, which I really want to see, but I'm like, do I want to go out and watch a movie that's not a horror movie? So, shame on you, studios. But I've also had like a bit of a busy week, and we watched the movies for reviews, but I did get in some interesting new stuff. So I watched. Let's start with the night movies. I watched a movie called Night Beast, and again, this is part of my ongoing October saga of catching up on all the Blu-rays that I bought and never watched. So Night Beast, it's like an old trauma movie, Night Beast, old trauma movie. It was a lot of fun. It's like this alien lands and it's going around and shooting people with its ray gun and making them disappear. The mask is really cheesy looking, but it's fun. It's a nice little 80s trauma movie with a bad masked creature.
Was this the one that you immediately messaged me and said, I've got a bonus movie that we can do soon? Was that this one?
No, so that's the next one. So
okay.
This one, this is still a fun movie. I think we could definitely do it, sometime if we, get to a point where, we don't have an endless backlog of stuff to do. But there'll definitely be a fun movie. But the movie I was telling you that, oh man, this has to be a Patreon movie, is the classic 1990s movie. I think it was the 90s, Night Killer. So I did a night double feature. I did Night Beast and Night Killer. So Night Killer is from the director of Troll 2.
He knows quality.
And if you listen to the interview with him on the special features on the Blu-ray, he says that he's kind of done with making horror movies. He wanted to make something like a psychoanalytical thriller, which sure, if that's what you want to call this movie, boy, it's pretty much what you would expect from it. It's I guess trying to be kind of a giallo. You got a killer in a really bad mask with a really dumb voice stalking this woman who ends up having a really strange I don't know if I want to say relationship, but I guess encounters with this other man.
Encounters, oh my, encounters.
Yeah, it's hard to say without giving anything away, and I'm still not completely sure if I understand the ending, because when I watched the ending, I was like, "Holy shit! Did they just imply what I think they're implying?" And then, I tried to look on Wikipedia to see if there's a plot summary that maybe had it straightened out, but surprisingly, there's no Wikipedia entry for this movie. And then I tried typing in Night Killer ending explained, because if they're saying what I think they're saying, this movie that was already batshit crazy is like 10 times more batshit crazy. But that's gonna be a fun one for us to do. Probably gonna have to have a lot of trigger warnings on it though. Oh boy.
Interesting. Well,
fun fact. Oh, sorry.
I was gonna say look for that probably in January as the Patreon bonus episode.
So fun fact about it too. Do you know what this movie was called in Italy?
Oh, I'm going to guess it's a sequel to something else.
Yeah.
There's one of their we're going to pass this off as a sequel. I'm going to guess.
If it helps, it's a movie that we've done before. Or the same title as a movie we've done before.
Really? Okay, so it's a sequel you've done before. I am going to guess. What have we done? Um, I don't know. Friday the 13th 5.
No, it's called Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3.
So I wasn't a million miles off. It was a slasher
Oh,
movie.
yeah, no, it was close. Yeah, oh boy. So yeah, that was a thing. Um, Let me check my notes. See, those are probably my two like more notable ones. Let me see if I have anything here that's a little interesting. Boop, 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 doo. Oh, this will probably also be something I assume that we'll do an episode on, but over the weekend they did like a surprise drop, or at least it was a surprise to me. I don't know if people knew it was coming, but they put Little Monsters, which we watched the trailer for before on Hulu. So if anyone's looking for like a horror comedy to watch, that's on Hulu. It's nice and easy to get, and I actually really really like that. Um, Again, I'm sure we'll do a full episode on it,
That's
but
interesting because you weren't super hot in the trailer, if I recall.
no, not really. And then I would say the first like maybe 10, 15-ish minutes, I wasn't really into. It was a lot of like jokes that are just like, hey, look, like, this adult is swearing in front of kids. And I was just kind of like, that's just, I didn't think it was funny. But once, um, you know, the action and everything, starts, I actually really got into it. And yeah, I was surprised. I thought it was a nice little movie. I think what's good, what you want with like most horror comedies is, the comedy worked and the horror worked. Like it's not just like, oh yeah, it's a funny movie, but the horror elements were off. But it's like no, like I thought the zombies actually looked cool and like the blood and gore and some of the deaths were pretty cool too. So it's nice. It worked well together.
I
Um,
really thought you were going to say something stupid there. But this is what you want. This is what you want from all horror comedies, and you're just going to say something stupid like I
oh
don't
no.
know, puppets or something. I don't know.
No, I mean, I think I don't think we do as many horror comedies on here, but I often feel like that's usually the problem with people that are trying to do them is it's either like oh well this is just a you know if it's like a true horror comedy you kind of want a nice mix of both and I think stuff like Shaun of the Dead does that well where it's really funny but it's also like a good zombie movie like it doesn't sacrifice one element for the other. I feel like, and yeah, I felt similar with this. One I actually watched last night, which I don't know if you've seen before, but The Church is it's a Dario Argento presents movie.
I
Uh,
cannot say I have. I'm not familiar with the church.
it's pretty good. I liked it. I didn't think it was perfect. Maybe we'll do it someday. We should have some like religious themed vote at some point. Like the church, the covenant, whatever, some other weird nun movie or something.
Nuns on the run.
Yeah. But it's pretty cool. Italian horror movie. Asia Argento's in it. I was posting screenshots of it because a goat man pops up in it, so I was into it. Um, All right, I thought you were gonna offer a little bit more commentary than that, but um,
No, I think that summed it up.
so yeah, it's not perfect. I think maybe it was like a little too long. Could have been maybe a slightly shorter, but otherwise, I thought it was a fun movie with some crazy stuff here and there. Um, so those are probably the interesting newer stuff I watched. There's other things that I watched that I didn't think were super notable. Like I checked out the original Willard, which like I don't didn't really think was much. I checked out like a few random like Netflix Shutter movies, but nothing. I'd say nothing of note. Um, I did some rewatches. Of course, I rewatched Tales from the Hood, which I don't think we've done on the show yet, but I'll
Mm-mm.
stick up for that movie. I like. I think it's a fun, '90s anthology movie. Um, I did Pumpkinhead, which is always a fun time. I'm gearing up to watch the sequel, which I've never seen before. So as rewatching the first one, which yeah is I forgot kind of how similar it is to Pet Cemetery in some ways,
Oh
which I think
yes,
is funny.
yeah, it's pretty close. I've seen Pumpkinhead. I've not seen Tales from the Hood, which
Yeah.
uh yeah, we probably all do at some point. I
Mm.
feel like there's just this eternal list of backlog of movies, and we keep pushing
Yeah.
things back because we have new movies and we have sequels to franchises that we've been working through. Um,
Yeah.
one day,
Yeah.
one day that sequel slate will be wiped clean, and we'll have done them all,
Yeah.
and it's like weird shit
Yeah.
now.
Yeah, and I think the problem is like, yeah, there's just so much new stuff coming out that I feel like before maybe we'd have like, oh, there's like one new big release a month, and then the rest of the month we would get to just kind of do random stuff. But now it's like, especially with all the streaming services, it's always like some notable thing that's coming out like almost every week.
Yeah,
So
I mean, it's a good problem to have, but it's a problem all the same.
yeah,
Uh,
and the last one I do just want to bring up because I think I'd heard a lot of people talking about this movie. I feel like this year, there's been going through a lot of like critical re-examinations, and people are like, "Ah, we're too hard on this movie. It's actually really good." And like, I think some people are thinking it's becoming a cult classic. So I went to revisit it, and I watched Jennifer's Body, which I think it was like 2009, maybe it came out.
that sounds
Uh,
right. Yeah.
and of course, obviously we know stars Megan Fox, and I think that's why a lot of people kind of rolled their eyes, like, "Oh, Megan Fox horror movie, blah blah blah." But I think the bigger thing that kind of maybe perked it up a little bit more for people was realizing it's directed um, by the same director from The Invitation, which
Hmm.
was a movie that we really loved,
Well,
and
I think even when we reviewed that, I think we were openly kind of shocked. Hey, this is
yeah.
the director of Jennifer's Body who did this. What the hell? This is really good.
Yeah, and so I think going back, and I'll admit, when it first came out, I think I was one of those guys. I was like, "Ugh, this movie's so stupid. Megan Fox, like, she can't act, blah blah blah." But rewatching it now and kind of re-examining it, I actually liked it a lot more than when I first watched it. And I think the maybe why a lot of people are hard on it is if you're taking it on face value, it can be kind of like cheesy and dumb, but I think if you look at it more with like kind of a critical eye, I think it is kind of like more self-aware than we thought. It is maybe like a little bit more satirical and
Don't include me in this. We you keep saying we, and we thought, and we did. I was like, don't include me in any of this thought process, you cheeky bastard.
but no, well, I think in general, like just a lot of people were more hard on it, and I think more people are coming around to it. At least like from the people I see talking about it on Twitter and stuff. And rewatching it, I still don't think it's like the best movie in the world or anything, but I can see more of like, oh, okay, this is like what people are talking about. It's kind of satirizing this kind of thing, and these kind of like teenage horror movies that were coming around at that time, and um actually like some interesting kind of like post 9/11 stuff that you can attribute to it, like this kind of this whole idea of merchandising tragedy, because this whole plot about this band that is trying to become famous from this like local tragedy that happened. So there's a lot more interesting stuff than I had originally thought. I'm still not going to say it's like an amazing movie, but I liked it a lot more than I originally had when I first saw it. So, I would recommend if people haven't seen it in a while, maybe go back and check it out. It might surprise you a little bit.
I'm sure Megan will be delighted to hear it.
Yeah, I actually think she does like a really good job. Like I don't know. I think maybe for some reason we were just like, well, and again, I'm kind of talking about like the general like around that time. If you're online and looking at like what like nerds and stuff were saying, I feel like I don't know, people are just kind of unjustly hard on her. I guess because she's an attractive girl in movies or something. Like, but I don't know. I think she actually does a really good job in this movie.
Hmm. Yes. Well, the heat was kind of coming off her, I think, a little bit because that was right around the time Twilight was starting to really
Uh,
rise in
so
the
nerds had
zeitgeist.
something else to
Yes.
get mad at.
Yes. And I'm sure someday there'll be a reason for us to do the Twilight movies. I don't know what it'll be yet, but
Oh boy. Oh boy.
a very high Patreon goal or something.
Yeah.
But yes. Well, what a delightful week you had, Timmy, watching
Yes.
movies as you do.
Mm.
Of course, none of it was as good as the movie we watched for review the other day, the foreign film. I won't say what it is because it won't have been up yet. But let's just say there's a movie coming later this week. The review's coming later this week, and it was a phenomenal little foreign film, which both myself and Tim sung the high praises of.
Yes, sure. I don't know. Just don't even send me the comments on that. I don't even want to. I don't even know what people are gonna say.
They may agree with you. They may side with you.
They better. If they want to keep listening to this podcast, they better.
Oh dear. Anyway, that is basically the show then. That is your this is Wednesday this goes up. Is it Wednesday this goes up? I think it's Wednesday this goes up. That your news and your sort of casual updates of what we've been watching. You can of course let us know what you think of anything we've talked about in the comments. You can like and subscribe. You can support us a couple of different ways. You can rate the podcast on Apple Podcasts, give us 5 stars, and that'll share us out to more people in the future. You can support us financially over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV, where you can support us for as little as $1 per month, and you get bonuses for that. You get an extra exclusive Screams After Midnight episode every month for that $1. Of course, in the month of October, you're getting 4 bonus episodes because we're being extra generous because it's the festive season. But yeah, you can check out that. So all the entire Wishmaster franchise is going up this month. The higher tiers, of course, you get like the rights to vote, the $5 tier, and so on. So you got to have a look, see if you want to get involved in that. And then I'll just say follow us on Twitter at Screams Midnight for updates and shenanigans and whatever we end up doing. And you can, of course, look forward to some more Screams After Midnight episodes coming this week, including, of course, Psycho 3. Those have been going up every Sunday, those Psycho movies. In fact, Wishmaster 2 will be up today on patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for the patrons, and there's other stuff coming this week. I will not spoil what they all are. I will simply say look forward to them, and there's been some delightful stuff out recently, so that is us. So thank you once again for watching or listening. We always appreciate it. Keep watching scary movies, guys, and we will see you next time.